I pulled into the driveway around 11 p.m., bone-tired from fixing cabinets at the Henderson place. The porch light was off, which was strange because Harper always left it on for me. I walked into the bedroom and opened the closet. Her overnight bag was gone, the one she used for weekend trips to visit her sister. I checked the fridge. Meal containers labeled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in her handwriting. The bed was made with hospital corners, something she only did when she was anxious. No note, no text. Her phone went straight to a disconnected number. My wife of 10 years had vanished like smoke, and I had no idea why. Before I tell you what I discovered in the weeks that followed, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments below. If this story hits close to home, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next will make you question everything you think you know about the people closest to you. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Harper at a coffee shop in Portland 10 years ago. She was reading a book about child psychology, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, and she had this smile that made the whole room feel warmer. I was there picking up an espresso before heading to a job site. I made some dumb joke about needing caffeine to survive, and she laughed. That laugh. I knew right then I wanted to hear it for the rest of my life. We talked for 2 hours. She told me she taught preschool and loved working with kids. I told her I built furniture and dreamed of opening my own workshop someday. 3 years later, we got married in her parents' backyard. It was small, just family and close friends, but it felt perfect. Emma came along after we had been married for 3 years. Harper glowed during the pregnancy. She read every parenting book she could find, painted the nursery yellow, because we wanted it to be a surprise, and played classical music to her belly every night. When Emma was born, Harper cried for an hour straight, just holding her. I remember thinking I had never seen anyone love something so completely. We bought a 2-story house in the suburbs, nothing fancy, but it had a big backyard. I built Emma a swing set out there when she turned 3. Harper used to push her on the swings every evening after dinner, and Emma would squeal with laughter. Those were good years, simple years, or so I thought. Looking back now, I can see the cracks started forming about 6 months before Harper disappeared. At first, it was small things. She stopped humming while she cooked. She used to hum these old folk songs her grandmother taught her, but one day it just stopped. She started going to bed earlier, saying she was exhausted from work. I figured teaching a classroom of 4-year-olds would wear anyone out. Her phone became a fortress. She changed her passcode to something I did not know, and she always kept the screen facing down on the table. When I asked her about it casually, she said she just wanted more privacy. I did not push. Maybe I should have. The phone calls started around that time, too. Harper would get a call, glance at the screen, and walk outside to take it. Even in the rain, even when it was freezing. I asked her once who kept calling, and she said it was just her friend Joanna going through a rough patch. I believed her because I wanted to. Because the alternative that my wife was hiding something from me felt too terrifying to consider. Her energy with Emma changed too. She still loved our daughter fiercely, I could see that, but there was this heaviness in her eyes, like she was carrying a weight nobody else could see. I would find her staring out the kitchen window sometimes, completely lost in thought. When I would touch her shoulder, she would jump like I had startled her awake. The last night before she left, we went to bed like normal. Emma had asked for 3 bedtime stories, and Harper read every single one without complaint. After we tucked Emma in Harper, and I lay in bed together. She turned toward me and wrapped her arms around my chest, holding me tighter than she had in months. I remember thinking it felt like goodbye, but I shoved that thought down. I kissed her forehead and told her I loved her. She whispered it back, but her voice cracked. I fell asleep thinking, maybe we just needed a vacation sometime away to reconnect. I woke up at 6 a.m. to Emma shaking my shoulder asking where Mommy was. I checked every room, the bathroom, the kitchen, the garage. Her car was still there. I went back to our bedroom and opened the closet. Some of her clothes were gone, but not many. Just enough for a week, maybe 2. Her makeup bag was still on the counter. Her toothbrush was gone. I opened the fridge and saw the meal containers, each one labeled with a day of the week in her neat handwriting. She had planned this. She had known she was leaving, and she had prepared for it. On the kitchen table, I found a white envelope. Inside was her wedding ring and the spare key to her car. No letter, no explanation. Just metal and silence. I called her phone. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." I called again, thinking maybe I had dialed wrong. Same message. I stood there in my kitchen, holding her wedding ring, trying to make sense of what was happening. Emma came downstairs asking for breakfast, and I had to put on a smile and tell her Mommy had to go help a friend and would be back soon. I did not know if that was true. I did not know anything anymore. The first week after Harper left was a blur. I called her parents. They had not heard from her and sounded genuinely shocked. Her mother cried on the phone and asked me what had happened. I did not have an answer. I called her friends, the ones I knew about. Nobody had seen her. I drove to the preschool where she worked. Her coworker, a woman named Sandra, told me Harper had resigned 2 weeks earlier. She said Harper seemed distant, distracted, but Sandra figured she was just dealing with personal stuff. Harper had not mentioned leaving me. She had not mentioned leaving at all. I felt like I was piecing together a stranger's life, not my wife's. Every night Emma asked when Mommy was coming home. I told her soon, even though I had no idea if that was true. I made her dinners from the containers Harper left, and every time I opened the fridge and saw that handwriting, I felt like I was being haunted. I could not sleep. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation we had in the months before she left, searching for clues I had missed. The house felt emptier than it ever had, and I realized Harper had been the heartbeat of this place. Without her, it was just walls and furniture. 3 weeks after Harper disappeared, I decided I needed answers. I could not keep living in this fog of confusion and grief. I started going through her things, looking for anything that might explain why she left. I felt guilty doing it, like I was violating her privacy, but I was desperate. In the back of her nightstand drawer, underneath some old magazines, I found a journal. The cover was plain dark blue fabric, and the pages were filled with her handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. The first entry was dated almost a year ago. The journal was not what I expected. It was not about another man or some secret life she was living. It was about her, about how she felt like she was drowning. She wrote about feeling inadequate as a mother, like she was failing Emma every day. She wrote about feeling disconnected from me, not because I had done anything wrong, but because she felt like she was disappearing. One entry read, "I love Pascal and Emma, but I feel like I am disappearing. I do not know who I am anymore outside of being a wife and a mother." Another entry said, "I am not the mother Emma deserves. I am not the wife Pascal married. I am just going through the motions, pretending I am okay when I am not." Reading those words felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed. Harper had been suffering, and I had not seen it. I had been too busy with work, too focused on keeping the bills paid and the house running to notice my wife was falling apart. I sat on the floor of our bedroom, holding that journal, and cried for the first time since she left. I cried for her pain, for my blindness, for the years she had spent feeling alone even when I was right beside her. But the journal did not tell me where she went. It did not tell me why she left without saying anything. It just showed me how much I had missed. I needed more answers. I reached out to Joanna Harper's best friend from college. They had stayed close over the years, talking on the phone every few weeks. I asked Joanna if she knew anything if Harper had said something to her. Joanna hesitated. I could hear it in her voice the way she paused before answering. Finally, she said she would meet me for coffee. We met at a diner off the highway, one of those places with vinyl booths and waitresses who call you honey. Joanna looked tired. She ordered coffee and did not touch it. She told me Harper had called her 2 months before she left. Harper had been crying so hard, Joanna could barely understand her. Harper said she felt like she had been lying to me for years. Joanna asked her what she meant, but Harper would not explain. She just kept saying, "If he finds out, he will never forgive me." Joanna tried to get her to open up, but Harper shut down. She made Joanna promise not to tell me about the call. Joanna had kept that promise until now. She said she thought Harper would come back, that she just needed space to figure things out. But weeks had passed, and Harper was still gone. Before Joanna left, she handed me a piece of paper with an address written on it. She said Harper had mentioned going to a therapist in Seattle a few times. Joanna did not know much about it, just that Harper had been seeing someone. The address was for a clinic about 3 hours north. I thanked Joanna and drove straight there. I did not call ahead. I did not plan what I was going to say. I just needed to know what Harper had been dealing with, why she felt like she could not talk to me. The clinic was in a quiet part of Seattle, tucked between a bookstore and a yoga studio. I walked in and asked to speak to someone about Harper. The receptionist told me they could not share patient information. I expected that. I pulled out the wedding ring Harper had left behind and set it on the counter. I told the receptionist my wife had disappeared, that I just needed to know if she was safe. The receptionist looked at the ring, then at me, and said she would get the doctor. Dr. Franklin was a man in his late 50s with kind eyes and a calm voice. He invited me into his office and listened as I explained what had happened. He did not say anything for a long time. Then he sighed and said he was going to share something he normally would not, because he was genuinely worried about Harper. He told me Harper had been diagnosed with postpartum depression after Emma was born. For 6 years she had been struggling with it in silence. She felt immense guilt about it, like admitting she was struggling meant she was a bad mother. She had been seeing Dr. Franklin for the past year, trying to work through it, but a few months ago she told him she was thinking about leaving. Dr. Franklin said Harper believed Pascal and Emma would be better off without her. She thought she was a burden, that her presence was making their lives worse. He had tried to convince her otherwise, but the depression had warped her thinking. She genuinely believed the best thing she could do for her family was to disappear. When Dr. Franklin told me this, I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. My wife had been in pain for 6 years, and I had not known. I had not seen it. She had been fighting a battle alone because she thought she had to protect me and Emma from it. I asked Dr. Franklin if he knew where Harper was. He said he did not, but he believed she was still alive. He said people with her kind of depression do not usually hurt themselves when they leave. They just run thinking distance will solve the problem. I thanked him and left the clinic feeling like I had been hit by a truck. I sat in my car for an hour trying to process everything. Harper had not left because she stopped loving us. She had left because she loved us and thought we deserved better. The logic was twisted broken by depression, but it was her truth. And now I had to find her and convince her she was wrong. I was not going to lose Harper, not like this. I hired a private investigator named Marcus, a guy who had helped a friend of mine track down a runaway teenager a few years back. I gave Marcus everything I had: photos of Harper, her last known locations, the journal entries. Marcus said he would do what he could. 2 weeks later, he called me. He had found her. She was living in a small town in Oregon about 4 hours south. She was working at a bookstore and renting a room above a bakery. Marcus sent me the address. I stared at it for a long time, trying to figure out what I was going to say to her. Before I left, I talked to Emma. She was only 6, but she was smart. She knew something was wrong. I sat her down and told her I was going to bring Mommy home. Emma's face lit up. She ran to her room and came back with a drawing she had made. It was a picture of the 3 of us holding hands in front of our house. She had drawn a sun in the corner with a big, smiley face. She handed it to me and said, "Give this to Mommy. Tell her I miss her." I promised I would. The drive to Oregon felt endless. I kept rehearsing what I was going to say, but nothing felt right. How do you tell someone you love that they are wrong about themselves? How do you convince someone drowning that they can still breathe? I arrived in the town just after noon. It was one of those places that looked like it had not changed in 50 years. Main Street had a hardware store, a diner, and the bookstore where Harper worked. I parked across the street and watched through the window. I saw her behind the counter ringing up a customer. She looked thinner. Her hair was shorter, but it was her. I walked into the bookstore, and the bell above the door chimed. Harper looked up, and when she saw me, her face went pale. She froze. The customer she had been helping took their bag and left, and suddenly it was just the 2 of us. Harper's hands were shaking. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. I walked up to the counter slowly, like I was approaching a frightened animal. I did not know if she was going to run or break down or yell at me to leave. She did none of those things. She just started crying. I did not yell. I did not demand answers. I just said, "I know about the depression. I know you have been suffering. And I am sorry I did not see it." Harper covered her face with her hands. Her whole body was shaking. She said, "You and Emma deserve better than a broken wife and mother." Her voice was so small, so full of pain, it broke something inside me. I reached across the counter and took her hands in mine. I said, "You are not broken. You are sick, and we fight this together, not apart." Harper shook her head. She said, "I thought leaving would make things easier for you. I thought you could move on, find someone better, someone who is not falling apart all the time." I held her hands tighter. I said, "Easier. Emma asks about you every night. I have not slept well since you left. We need you, Harper. Not a perfect version of you. Just you." She looked at me, and I could see the war happening in her eyes. Part of her wanted to believe me. Part of her was still convinced she was doing the right thing by staying away. I pulled out the drawing Emma had made and set it on the counter. Harper picked it up with trembling hands. She stared at it for a long time, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, "I miss her so much." I said, "Then come home. Let us help you. You do not have to do this alone." Harper closed her eyes, and for a moment I thought she was going to say no. But then she nodded. She said, "Okay." Just one word, but it was everything. We drove back together the next day. Harper did not say much during the drive. She stared out the window, lost in thought. I did not push her to talk. I just wanted her to know I was there. When we pulled into the driveway, Emma was sitting on the porch waiting. The second she saw Harper get out of the car, she ran. Harper dropped to her knees, and Emma crashed into her, wrapping her little arms around her mother's neck. Harper sobbed. She held Emma like she was afraid to let go. Emma pulled back and handed Harper the drawing. She said, "I drew this for you, Mommy." Harper kissed her forehead and whispered, "I love you so much." The first few weeks after Harper came back were hard. She started seeing a new therapist closer to home. She began taking medication to help with the depression. There were days when she barely got out of bed. There were days when she cried for no reason I could see. But I was there. I rearranged my work schedule so I could be home more. I took Emma to school in the morning so Harper could sleep in. I made sure she knew she was not alone. Slowly, things started to get better. Harper started smiling again. She started humming while she cooked. It was not perfect, but it was progress. One night, about a month after she came back, Harper and I sat on the back porch after Emma had gone to bed. She looked at me and said, "I am sorry I left. I am sorry I did not tell you what I was going through." I told her she did not need to apologize. I said, "I am sorry I did not see it sooner. I should have noticed." She shook her head and said, "I got really good at hiding it. I did not want you to think I was weak." I took her hand and said, "Asking for help is not weakness. It is the bravest thing you can do." It has been a year since Harper came back. I am not going to lie and say everything is perfect now, because it is not. Harper still has bad days. There are still mornings when she wakes up feeling like the weight of the world is on her chest. But the difference now is she does not hide it. She tells me when she is struggling. We talk about it. We work through it together. She went back to teaching, but only part-time. She needed the balance, and I supported that. Emma is doing great. She knows now that sometimes Mommy needs quiet time, and that is okay. We taught her that everyone has hard days, and it does not mean anything is wrong with loving them. I learned a lot this past year. I learned that love is not just about the good days. It is not about keeping each other happy all the time. Real love is showing up when things are hard. It is sitting with someone in their pain and saying, "I am here and I am not going anywhere." For years, I thought I was being a good husband by working hard and providing for my family. And those things mattered, but what mattered more was being present, being attentive, being willing to see the things that are hard to look at. Harper did not leave because she stopped loving us. She left because she loved us so much and thought we deserved better than what she believed she could give. Depression lies. It tells you that you are a burden, that people would be happier without you, that you are failing even when you are doing your best. Harper believed those lies for years, and I did not see it because I was not looking closely enough. I was not asking the right questions. I was not creating a space where she felt safe to fall apart. Mental health is not something to be ashamed of. It is not a sign of weakness. It is just part of being human. Some of us struggle with it more than others, and that is okay. What is not okay is suffering in silence because you think you have to be strong all the time. Strength is not pretending everything is fine. Strength is saying, "I am not okay and I need help." If someone you love is struggling, do not wait for them to ask for help. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is reach out first. Pay attention to the small changes, the way they stop doing the things they used to love, the way they pull away even when you are right there, the way their smile does not reach their eyes anymore. Ask them if they are okay, and when they say yes, ask again. Create a space where it is safe to not be okay. Let them know that their pain does not make them a burden. Let them know that you are not going anywhere. Harper packed a bag and ghosted us. What I found changed everything. Not because it was easy to accept, but because it taught me that love is not about perfection. It is about showing up even when things fall apart. It is about fighting for the people you care about even when they have given up on themselves. It is about holding space for someone's pain without trying to fix it, just being there in the mess with them. We are still here, still fighting, still together, and that is enough. Now I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you love ever struggled with something in silence? How did you find the strength to reach out or help them through it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, Hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about life, love, and everything in between. Share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find the courage to show up for the people you love even when it is hard. Take care of yourselves and each other.